Marriage is work.
There are a lot of expectations.
We expect to have this knight in shining armor.
To become the husband that they expect us to be.
So there's no such thing as a perfect marriage.
But there is a such thing as a healthy one.
But in the end, you've got to realize that
we're fighting on the same team.
That's right. We're fighting on the same team.
Hey, y'all. It's real life.
Real issues.
Real engagement.
Real answers.
To some real married people stuff.
Welcome to Unscripted.
Marriage.
Unscripted. Marriage. Wow. Seriously?
Oh, okay.
You went that high?
Go ahead.
But you never like to do that?
Well, I'm saying you weren't supposed to go high until the third one. I mean, I go as high as you want.
Okay, well,
what you want me to say? What you want me to say?
Anyway, we're going to jump right in, y'all. This is season 3.
Trace.
3. We have done season 1, season 2, and now we are in season 3. And we're taking it old school. We're taking it old school. Put it in the chat right now. What is your favorite old school song? Your favorite. What's your favorite old school song?
Mine is Commodores. It's called Brick House.
It's called Brick House.
Brick House by Commodores.
Okay,
you know why?
okay.
You want to know what my favorite part is?
What?
She's Mike to Mike Tay. Just letting it all hang out.
I'm not letting nothing hang out.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Stop.
Okay.
We jumping right in. Sorry, guys.
Okay, sorry, y'all. I just was a little distracted.
Okay.
I don't know y'all, but I'm a little distracted.
But we are going old school today.
Oh, okay.
And we are talking about, what did marriages look like back in the day? 1900s period. What was their mindset? What were they doing back in the day? And we have 3 topics that we're going to talk about with that. So we're going to talk about gender roles. What did the male and the female look like? What did the privacy look like? Everything goes on in his house, stays in his house.
Yeah.
And then and how much of a high tolerance it was for marriage. People stayed together. They didn't break up.
Forever. I mean, you could do whatever you wanted to, I feel like, and then couples just stayed together.
They just stayed together. They just took it. And so those are the 3 parts. So this episode is going to be broken down into 3 different parts, and those 3 different parts that I just told you to. This is season 3 with 3 different parts. We hope that you will join us for all of it.
What is that? Oh, okay. Yes, all of it. So
also, quick shout out to my wardrobe person and my makeup person, Sierra and Ebony Wise, because they done hooked us up. They done hooked it all up today.
Yeah, I got the Fedora.
See, he ain't even used to wearing it.
I mean, you can almost, I can just, and it just cut you right on.
He looking like, what's that song? The riding on a horse or something. That's what he looking like.
You know what I could do? I feel like this is like Scorpion, and I can just get over here and then finish you.
Right.
Can I do it with you?
No, you can finish somebody.
Oh, you want me to finish somebody else?
Cut. Okay.
Oh, cut the cameras. Okay.
All right. So we're gonna jump right into gender roles.
Yeah.
So, ladies, what do you think about the man having the role of being able to just go out and work and come home and that's it? And then this is early 1900s, and then the females are at home and their job was to wash clothes, watch the kids, do all of this stuff at home. That was their main thing. What do y'all think about that?
And so I did a little bit of research, and when I was doing a little bit of research, and I found out that during World War II, or before World War II, I don't know why I'm just tongue-tied, that everybody's roles were clear.
Yeah.
Women, just like you said earlier, they stayed home, they cooked, they cleaned, they took care of the kids. The men was out working. It was clear lines, and they honored each other in those lines.
And back in the day, they were having more kids too. I mean, they were popping out 15, 16 kids. So that was a lot.
Without epidural too, right?
They had to teach the kids. They had to, and without epidurals, we don't even want to go there. But
because don't that save you from the pain?
It does.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know what it's like to have baby natural. But anyway, I mean, it was a lot. I feel like it was a lot on them, and that was the man's role. He wore the pants. The ladies would wear long skirts and turtlenecks up to here, and I mean, the dress was different. The man, I mean, it's totally different than what it is now. We're going to talk about what it is now later, but it's totally different than what it is now.
And so now what happened is when the men went out, because they were, what do you call that? They were, what's the word I'm looking for? They had to go to war. And so what happened was drafted. That's the word I'm looking for. Drafted. So when they were drafted, they had no choice. Obviously, when you go to war and you're drafted, you have no choice. And so that left the women at home, and all these jobs were vacant. And so the women had to go out and work. So just imagine the women now, they're working, and then they're doing all the stuff. They're doing all the stuff that the men were doing, and the women.
Yeah.
And then so now when the men get home, they think that they're going to just fit back right into their role. But now women are working differently.
And they're out of place. And they don't even know what to do when they came back home, because the woman's like, well, I've been doing this all along for like 6 years, so what I need you for?
Yeah.
And I mean, maybe they didn't have that attitude. Maybe most of them were humble and said, yes, I'm coming back to you. I love you, and I can't wait. I'm so happy that you're home. But after 6 years, I think it lasted for maybe 10 years. No, it lasted about 6 years or 7 years. But that was a long time.
Yeah.
So I think that was literally like the start from, moving women into more independence.
And so then you talk about like, all the women's rights and, not receiving women's rights, and just the different things that you talk about, just going all the way through, just the centuries and the decades, when now women are receiving their power, they're receiving their authority. And so then that's what we talk about moving up until, like, I remember watching the
60s, 70s, 80s, 90s.
And I remember watching
gaining independence.
And then you watch Love and Basketball, when the girl went home during that scene, and she went home and her mom slapped her because the daughter was like, hey, all I see you doing is cooking and cleaning, and then when the husband bring home pizza, you just sit around and you don't say nothing. And then the mom was like, well, look, I gave up my hopes and dreams for you. And what I remembered was I was able to be home and be able to fit you in your prom dress and be able to spend that time. And you know what I'm saying? I believe that those are things that were happening through that time. And now when we talk about, what that looks like, it's just the gender roles are completely different. It's just a wild about how that is.
So that's how it was back then. What do you guys think about what it is now? Put in the comments what you think about how it has changed over the years, and like, what do you think it looks like now? Well, we all know that it looks different. I mean, it's totally different.
Right.
We got house dads, we got women out here. They not just working at the bank; they owning the bank. And so it's totally different now.
Yeah. And so now it's like, okay, now the women, you say, it's almost like that Jody complex, you know what I'm saying? That when a man goes and say, hey, this woman got everything, what can the man offer? You know what I'm saying? Hey, the woman, she got her own car, she got her own house. You know what I'm saying? Just like Lawanda said, she owned her own business. And so the role of the man has changed, but I don't think that has been taught through the years. Like, it's like, okay, men are still trying to figure out what their role is in a marriage. And so now we try to say, all right, well, my role is going to be to go out and work. And that's why men just feel like they need to be out truck driving for 2-3 months at a time. But now you taking the man out the house. And I think it's just so different. It's just so different from back then to now, and what you consider the roles. And the roles are important because roles are important in your marriage, because it's different from the marriage that you're looking at. Even our marriage is going to be different. So you have to consider what roles work for your marriage.
So honestly, do you really think that, so what do you think? Do you think that the way that we looked at gender roles in the past have had a negative effect or a positive effect on how we see marriage today? Did it mess us up, or is it helping us today?
Well, so my immediate thought is when we first got married, I didn't know. I was still trying to figure out what being a husband was all about.
Right.
And so when I was saying, well, I think I'm supposed to be, naturally I go back to, well, I think I'm supposed to be out there working and making the bacon. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But and I think that's fine as a as a foundation. But I think then we have to talk about, okay, what does that look like for our family? Because you had goals, I didn't. All I knew was I was in the military making money, but that's all I knew. Everything else besides that, I really didn't know what to do. And so it's like, okay, but you had the dreams and the goals and all that kind of stuff. And so I figured as long as I support you, then we can work after that, we can work for what this marriage looks like.
I think it's really a balancing thing. I think you have to learn each other's strengths and weaknesses and really capitalize on that. Like, he is so much better being at home than I am. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm a workaholic, so I will be out the house working, and then I come home and like everything is in place, ready to go. He done, and he's more proficient than I am and persistent. So he can get the errands that I need to run. It takes me a week to do them. He can get them done in like 3 hours. And so I think it's good to know like the balance and everything when you're talking about those different roles and sharing those different roles. And I think that's how it's just been in our marriage.
So when you think about communicating, one important thing and one important role to think about when you're doing that is communicate what roles is going to be in your marriage and make it work for you. There's no cookie cutter marriage out there. No marriage is perfect. So you have to put in the time to communicate what that foundation looks like. And that's how we have had ours work, is just go ahead and we laid those rules down of what was strong in our marriage and our attributes so that we can maximize on team counsel.
So if you haven't already sat down with your husband or your wife and you guys have had a talk about what your roles are in your marriage and how they compare to what used to be and what is today, go ahead and do that. I mean, that's a conversation that needs to be had, and hopefully once you do that, you can figure out what your strengths and weaknesses is and really capitalize on that and push your marriage forward. So we're gonna wrap this up. This is the end of part one. And we hope that gender roles, and we hope that you will join us next time for part two, where we're gonna talk about privacy and how things were really kept hush back in the day and how that's affecting us now. So don't forget to like us on
YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, all those things.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel.
And press the notification bell, right? Oh, somewhere, the notification. That one. And we are
Unscripted Marriage, talking about real life,
real engagement,
real issues about some real married people stuff.
No, 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 no.